Roxy Sims here, and welcome to Speed Build Saturday. That's actually on a Wednesday. Yes, this week's Speed Build is a bit early, but that's because we have a new pack called My Wedding Stories. It has a beautiful new world that's based on the Mediterranean called Tartosa. And since it's my first build for this pack, I wanted to get this out as soon as I possibly could. Today, I am building the Tartosa Town Square. So Tartosa already has a downtown area, but I don't really like it very much because there are no lots there to build in. And that makes me sad. I want to build in the downtown area. So, right next to this downtown area is a 50 by 50 lot that I thought, well, since I can't build in the downtown area, I'll just make my own. So that is what I'm doing. I'm making a whole town square. I think there's like 12 buildings on this lot. I don't know, it's huge. The build is huge. And let me tell you, it took ages. I really wish that I could remember to set a timer so that I would know exactly how long that it takes me to build these things, but I never can remember that kind of thing. I always remember it afterwards, never beforehand. So let's talk about everything that's actually on this lot, since there are like 12 buildings. I'll start at the left and then work my way around. So the first building is a dance studio. I figured it'd be fun. Like before your wedding, you can come and, work up your dance skill a little bit. I know people do that in real life, so I thought that would be fun. And then we have a Mediterranean restaurant. This place, Tartosa is based on the Mediterranean, so it seemed appropriate. Then we have a bakery where I think I've put every single new wedding cake in it. So you can actually go there and buy your wedding cake instead of just going to that kind of stall. Then on the next building, we have a coffee shop. Above the coffee shop is an apartment. The next building, we have a dress shop, so you can go and buy your wedding gown. Then we have a bar just to hang out at. We have a grocery store in the next building. The next building is a house. The next building after that is a Moroccan restaurant. Then we have a floral shop where you can go and actually buy your wedding bouquet. And the next building is a nail salon. You can get your nails done before your wedding. Above that is a laundromat. And then the last building is a fish shop, which I had to put in since Tartosa is a coastal town, of course. That is a lot of stuff. I think I remembered everything. Let's hope. But I'll let you know later if I didn't. I will say that not every single level of these buildings is full. I was going into the build planning on pretty much filling up every single space because that's just how I like to build. But I quickly had to give up on that because the lag was getting pretty crazy. And I have a pretty decent gaming PC, so I don't think it was necessarily my setup. I think it's just the game. The game's been super laggy lately. Lots of glitches, lots of things going wrong, which is incredibly unfortunate, but that's the truth. I mean, it's been pretty rough. So I think it was just way too much. It was, it was slowing way, way, way down. I couldn't even get across the lot without it just stopping, And I think the main issue was that I made a dress shop. So of course I put in lots of mannequins. And I also have a bakery, so there's tons of these cakes, and I think that kind of stuff really does slow things down. Especially the mannequins. I know mannequins have been having lots of issues recently. Apparently, if you download a build that has mannequins in it from the gallery, when you try to place it, it just completely crashes your game. I guess that sometimes that if you have few enough that it will work, but apparently over 6 it's like no way are you gonna get it to work. I've heard that some people can get it to work still, but I think most people just can't. This is a glitch that has been happening for a long time and it still has not been fixed. I didn't even know about it until recently. I made a ski shop and it had some mannequins in it, and some people were commenting on the gallery when they were downloading it. They're like, every time I try to place this lot, it crashes my game. And I was so confused because I was like, what? It didn't crash my game whenever I placed it. So I didn't know what could be causing it. And then I just happened upon a post saying mannequins caused this glitch. And I was like, oh, that makes so much sense. That's why people were having trouble with that build. And I think it had 5 mannequins, which was okay for my computer to download. But that was too much for some people's. And apparently over 6 is detrimental to most people's computers. So that really sucks because, as I already mentioned, I have mannequins in this build. So I will have to take the mannequins out before I upload it to the gallery. Yeah, which is really sad because it's a dress shop. It should have mannequins in it, but it just can't. So unfortunately, you'll have to add in your own mannequins because they can work. If you add them afterwards, you just, downloading them with them already in it is the bad part. I am really proud of this dress shop though. I had so much fun specifically just building this dress shop. I don't know why it was so much fun. Actually, you know what? I think it was because the pictures that I put in it. So I took some pictures of some Sims wearing wedding dresses, and that was so fun. I'm kind of a wannabe photographer in real life. I don't do it professionally or anything, but I have like an okay camera and I like to pretend that I'm some great photographer. So taking these pictures of these Sims is kind of like living out my photographer fantasies, but in the Sims. And so I had a lot of fun with that. And I hope you like those pictures too. They're probably the best pictures I've ever taken in the Sims. So I had a lot of fun. Oh, I did just want to mention, you might be noticing that the camera is kind of doing a lot of bouncing up and down. And I want to say I'm very sorry for that. Unfortunately, I can't do anything about it. That's just how the game works, and it drives me nuts. I really hate it so much. The problem is that it doesn't know what level that it needs to be focusing on, and so you'll try to be working on the outside of a building, and you get too close and it shoots up, and you get too far and it falls to the ground. And so it's just infuriating. I mean, it really is so frustrating to try to build like that because when you're trying to put any sort of detail on the outside, it's almost impossible. Honestly, you can't angle the camera in the right way to show the specific area of the outside of the building that you need to work on. It even does that whenever you're working sometimes on the inside of a tall building. And it especially happens if you're working on the outside of a tall building when there are other tall buildings around it. Yeah, a real pain. I'm so sorry about the camera bouncing up and down. If I could stop it, I would 100% because it's annoying to watch. It's annoying to build with. It's annoying to watch. Just annoying all around. A while back, I was trying to build Venice. I still haven't finished that build because like this one, it's massive, and a lot of the buildings in Venice are incredibly detailed on the exterior, and that was the first time that I really noticed this problem because I normally hadn't built a whole town square, I think that was my first time ever doing that, and so I didn't know how bad the camera could be in those situations. So that was the first time noticing it, and I was like, wow. I kind of thought that it was something wrong. I didn't quite realize that, no, that's just how the game is designed. And so I even took it to Sim Guru Nick, who deals with glitches and stuff. And I was like, hey, is this supposed to be happening? And I think he said oh no, I think that's how it's supposed to be. And I'm like, oh, okay, great, thanks. So yeah, I wish it was better, and there's also something a little bit weird about this lot. So this 50 by 50 lot in Tartosa, right where I am, it's very strange to build that red building, the coffee shop. Over in that corner, it kind of stops you from going farther. Okay, does that make sense? So you can't move your camera much farther than the road. So, yeah, I don't know what that was about. It was really strange, and it's not like anything that I've ever experienced on any other lot. Normally, you can kind of get a little farther back. See, over in the middle, you can kind of get farther back. But if you notice, when I was working on like close to the red building, you can't really get far to that edge. Even if you're inside that red building, you can't even, like, if you take your camera and you put it in the kitchen, you cannot make your camera go farther than the kitchen. I don't know if that's my game specifically or if that's how everyone's is. I'm going to assume it's probably everyone, but I thought it was very, very weird. I don't know if it's only on the top level. There's just some funky things with this pack, that's for sure. I will talk a little bit more about that later, though. I want to talk a little bit about the inspiration for the Tartosa Town Square. So, I was actually very inspired by the Disney Pixar movie called Luca. I don't know if you've watched that movie, but I would suggest it. I think it's a good watch. I think it was really fun and really sweet, and it was kind of bittersweet a little bit, and I really liked it. And the town, it's based on this like fictional Italian coastal town, and it is so pretty. I love this fictional town that they have created, and it was so inspirational. I loved every single bit of it, and I was like, I have to definitely take some inspiration from that. When I found out that we're getting Tartosa, I immediately, like almost immediately thought, oh, I should build something like that is in Luca. Because this town, like I said, was based on the Mediterranean in general, but I think that it is a little bit more Italian. That's just, I don't know. I'm not Italian. I do not live in Italy. I have never actually been to Italy. The places in Europe I've been are Germany and the UK, never Italy. But just from my little experience with architecture, it just seems a little bit more Italian to me. So that is what I wanted for the Tartosa Town Square as well. I wanted it to be kind of mainly Italian, but I wanted it to have other influence as well. So there's some French, there's some Spanish, there is maybe a little bit of Greek. You know, I wanted it to be Mediterranean in general, but I still wanted some Luca influence, some real Italian influence. So I'm going to be doing that, I think, for most of my builds. Probably a little bit more Italian, but some builds that are from other Mediterranean countries as well. The reason I thought there was slightly more Italian influence is because I actually saw this picture of this town it's this real Italian town. I think it's called Atrani, Atrani. I think that's how you pronounce that. But when I saw this picture, I was like, whoa, that is exactly Tartosa. It's not an exact replica, but the vibe is totally Tartosa. Look up that town. Every time I look up that town, it's like the first picture that pops up. If you compare Tartosa and this town, there are a lot of similarities. It has pretty much the same colors of buildings. There's these retaining walls for the town and for some roads, and they're all arched, just like they have in Tartosa. So I'm pretty convinced that this town in Italy was a huge influence for the town of Tartosa. Here I am building a grocery store. I love building grocery stores, even though they take forever because you have to place every little individual item. They're just, I don't know, they're so satisfying to me. I'm actually working on a large grocery store, and that actually kind of burnt me out. I've been working on too much grocery store. So for this, I was like, oh, I gotta do this whole grocery store, no. But I'm really happy with how it came together. I used the tool mod to angle those baskets so I could put like bread and fruits and vegetables and stuff in it, and I love doing that. This is actually functional. You can't actually buy the stuff on the shelves, but you can go to this little stall here and you can buy your groceries just like you would in, what's the town called? Hanford-on-Bagley. I love using these stalls to my advantage. If you've watched my videos for any amount of time, you've seen me do this a lot. I really like to do it whenever I have a large commercial lot that I want to have many different functions and many different uses. Because as it is right now, you can only choose one thing for the lot to be. And So if you have 12 buildings on it, it's kind of an issue. So you just put, like this lot is going to be set to a retail lot, but if you just put a food stall in one, a grocery stall in the other, a bar in one, a barista bar in the other, you've got, it turns from one function into many. So that's what I really like to do. It makes it more fun, makes it more realistic that you can go to this huge lot and do many different things instead of just shopping. All you have to do is you just hire a vendor, and then they will show up, or hire a barista, or hire a bartender. That's pretty much all you have to do if there's like one of these stalls or a bar or something, and you want a worker there. So that's all you got to do. It costs 100 simoleons, but you can cheat that 100 simoleons back into your account if you don't want to actually spend it. But I will once again ask the sim gurus to, it's not like any sim guru is actually watching this video, but I'm just going to put it out into the universe. Sim gurus, please make it to where a worker will show up at a stall if it's on a commercial lot. Pretty please. That would make me so happy. And that just makes the most sense. So yeah, I hope one day, I kind of doubt it, but maybe for Sims 5. My fingers are crossed. This house that I'm working on right now was definitely inspired by the movie Luca. I forget the names of the characters, but the two mermaid boys go. I don't know their names. I really should have looked them up, but I can never remember names, even in real life. So I'm definitely not going to remember movie characters' names unless I watch the movies a whole bunch. But the two mermaid boys go into the house of a human girl, and it looks a lot like this. It's not a replica in any way, but I just took inspiration from it. The tiles that are in their kitchen, I feel like are very similar to the tiles that I'm using in this kitchen. I just really like the look of it, and I tried to have that same kind of feeling in this house. It is a 2-bedroom house, but you have bunk beds so you can fit, 4 Sims in here. And so I have this house and an apartment, so you could choose. If you wanted to live in here, you could choose which one you wanted. As a builder, I play a little bit of the game, but I'm definitely more of a builder. I was hoping that there was going to be more build stuff. There is a lot of, of course, wedding stuff in this pack, but I was hoping for more Mediterranean stuff, because we have some Mediterranean stuff from base game and things like that, but I was just hoping for more. Since the pack is a wedding pack, of course I am totally okay with the main focus being on weddings, as it should be. But since this is an American game, there is so much American stuff in it, and so whenever you give us a world that is not based on the United States, that just makes it a lot harder to build in the world if you're not giving us that stuff as well. Kind of like the Moroccan kit. The Moroccan kit had lots of great looking things in it. There just wasn't enough. Just flat out was not enough, in my opinion. Whenever you're giving us such a stylized architecture, you need a lot more things to fit along with that. Am I making sense? I hope I am. So even though we had some Mediterranean stuff in base game, I was just hoping for more. For example, we got a couple doors and a couple sets of windows, but I felt that was really incomplete because I think there are way too few swatches on these windows. I think the windows are pretty great, don't get me wrong, but I thought the swatches were a little weird because they didn't quite even match the door swatches. Like, the window swatches and the door swatches both have a green swatch and a blue swatch, and yet they do not match each other. So why? I don't know why. I would really have loved if the colors were more like the door swatches. I feel the door swatches are way more toned down, and I don't want everything to be toned down, but I think they just go with more stuff. And so I'm really missing those window swatches being in the same color as the door swatches. And they had no short doors, and I think we really should have some. That would be nice. I think we're kind of missing out on a lot of interior doors, especially in taller wall heights. So if you use these medium or large doors, then you have to use a door from a different pack on the interior. And we just don't have a lot of those because there's like no medium or tall doors that don't have windows. And you can't have a window going into a bathroom. So then you have this dinky little door on this medium or tall wall height. It just doesn't make sense. I have a lot to say about these, about this thing. So yeah, sorry about all the complaining, but I don't understand why they do this. I would very obviously prefer, if you're going to give us doors, give us one of each height. I would like matching swatches throughout the pack. And I would also like if you give us a medium or tall door. I'd really like it if you gave us some medium or tall interior doors to go along with those. Those are all things that I really wish they did more. I think I'm just extra frustrated lately because if you haven't heard, this pack is broken, like extremely broken. Kind of nothing really works. There are some mods that are coming out that are fixing the pack, but you shouldn't have to rely on mods, and people who are playing on console cannot get them. So that's kind of a huge problem. So I think it's just all accumulating, and I'm just getting very frustrated about it. In general, about The Sims 4, my feeling is frustration. It just needs to work better. There's the list of bugs and stuff that it's just so incredibly long, and I feel like they don't even test the game. And if it regularly comes out with bugs, which it does, we even have packs that came out like 6 years ago that still don't work, and nothing seems to be tested, and they don't give us a well-rounded pack. It just seems like the budget for these things needs to be bigger. And I'm not like blaming the gurus about it. I'm not. I think EA has a lot to do with the budget that they get to use, and it obviously needs to be larger so that they can do these things. Because at the moment, they are obviously not getting done. So either they know about the bugs and then just put them out anyways, they don't have the budget to fix them, maybe, or that they're not actually testing the game and they don't know about the bugs beforehand, which I do think is the case sometimes. I really do think that a lot of times they don't even know about these bugs before they put out the pack, because there's not enough testing, and maybe not enough testing with other packs installed as well. That could be the problem. With this particular pack, we know that they knew about these problems before it came out, and they put it out anyways. It was a week late, and I understand that packs have to come out by a certain time. That's just how that works. They've paid all this money for promotion and everything, so I understand it has to come out. But they knew that it was not ready before it came out, and then didn't really say anything about it, So if the simmer who decided to buy this pack wasn't big on Sims social media or didn't watch like Sims YouTube, then they may not have even known that the pack is essentially useless for the thing that it was made for. It's made for weddings. The weddings don't work. And it replaces the base game weddings. You can't have just regular base game weddings anymore if you have this pack installed. So you really don't have any working option. So I think that was not really cool. And they still haven't said anything about it not working. So yeah. But by the way, if gameplay is your thing, don't buy this pack yet. It just doesn't work. Of course, gameplay is not my thing, and that's why I went ahead and bought it. Building is my thing. And the building works fine. It's not great in general. There's so many building bugs that need to be fixed too, but I don't think it's specifically because of this pack. I think it's just The Sims in general. Dang, guys, I'm more upset than I think I thought I was. Can you tell? Again, I'm sorry for complaining. And don't get me wrong, I love The Sims 4. I do. I want it just to be better is all. I want it to work, which I don't think is too much to ask. For this game that I spent a lot of money on, I just want it to work is all. You know, and I think the stresses of normal life, it makes you even more upset about stuff, and everyone is very stressed at the moment. So I think it's just, you know, the accumulation of just everything, and then I can't even play my game right, you know? It's just all of it put together. So, yeah. And I'm sure it is harder to deal with all of this stuff whenever you're having to work from home, because I know they're having to work from home during this pandemic. So that's got to make it more difficult. The unfortunate part is it's not only during the pandemic that this has been an issue. Dine Out still doesn't work right, and wasn't that like 6 years ago that it came out? So I just think there should just be more focus on, you know, fixing these things that should be fixed before putting out any more kits, especially. Let's fix things, and then we can worry about putting out kits later. I'm not exactly a kit hater. I don't mind them so much, but only when they're supposed to be small. Like the Moroccan kit, which, what was it really called? It was called Courtyard Oasis Kit. I think that was a mistake. Only because there needs to be more stuff in that pack, and so it really should have been more of a stuff pack or something. Or a free update or something like that, but there just needed to be way more. But on the other hand, I think the Country Kitchen Kit was fantastic. I loved it. I mean, it probably helped that that's exactly, I love making houses that in that style, so it was just like made for me. But yeah, so I think they can work. I just don't think they always work, and I do think there's just been way too many of them lately. I think everyone can kind of agree on that maybe other packs would be better. Some more stuff packs would be great. It's been like over a year since we had one of those. But, of course, bug fixes would be the ultimate best thing to be working on right now. I went on a really long rant there. I apologize. Probably had too much coffee, to be honest with you. Well, I'm working on the bakery now, and I wanted to talk more about this. So, I'm pretty sure that I have every wedding cake that came with this pack in this bakery. There are a lot of them. Wow, there are a lot of cakes, which is very cool. I do like that. I had to size them down to fit in these bakery cases because unfortunately they don't work. So I had to size them down. On the smaller cakes, I had to size them down 1. On the larger cakes, I had to size them down twice. I'm pretty sure that if you come and buy a wedding cake from here, once it gets into your inventory, it will be the correct size. I'm pretty sure. But if it happens to not work that way, if it's still small, you could just go into build mode and size it up. You just size things up by pressing the bracket key. And then it'll go back up to whatever size. You could even make it bigger if you wanted to. I don't know if that probably messed things up. But just to let you know, I wish that they gave us a bakery case that would fit these new cakes, you know, because I really wish I had more like cross pack compatibility, you know, because you can't, unless you size it down, you can't make a bakery with these new cakes, which should have been a thing, right? I mean, you should be able to without sizing down the cakes. That just makes sense. But as it is now, you have to size them down. So, yeah. I also think that these new cakes don't exactly work the way that old baked goods work. So, old baked goods, you can put those in a room and then upload that to the gallery and you can download it and just have all the cakes available. So that if you make a bakery, you don't have to bake every single thing again. You can just place the room and then use the cakes from that room. That doesn't work with these cakes. At least it didn't for me. Because I took all this time to bake all these many cakes. I don't even know how many bakery cases are full of cakes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's a lot. It's a lot of cakes. So I wanted to put them in a room so that I didn't ever have to bake them again. And because they're not like a debug item that you can just take from the gallery, you have to have a sim bake them. So I put them all in a room, and I uploaded that to my library, and I realized whenever I did that, there were no cakes. Like, it was just an empty room. I was like, what? I put all the cakes in it, uploaded the room, there were no cakes. So that doesn't seem to be able to work. I don't know if that's a bug or if that's by design, but I'm just telling you, it doesn't work. But at the same time, I had all these cakes on this lot, and then I uploaded the lot to my gallery and then placed it somewhere else, and the cakes were still on the lot. So I don't know if the cakes work only whenever you're downloading a whole lot, and then they don't work if you're doing a room. I'm not sure, but one thing I am sure of, it doesn't work like the baked goods that we already have in game. I hope they change that though, because I don't want to have to remake all those cakes every time that I want to make a bakery, because I was obviously planning on making a couple bakeries with all these new cakes, and I don't want to have my Sims do that, because I don't know if it's the same for you, but cooking is really laggy on my game. Is that the same? Please let me know if you're having that same problem. But I had 3 Sims in 3 different kitchens baking all these cakes so I could put them in the bakery, and it took ages. This is something that happened I've never had happen before. So I would have them, I'd click to, bake this particular wedding cake, and I'd click, bake, and then it would pause the game. I don't mean that it would freeze. I mean that it would take the game that was in live mode and just pause it for like 3-4 seconds, and then it would start back up. It'd go back into live mode, and then they'd start baking it. But then the actions for the other Sims got canceled. So if they were in the middle of something, they would stop what they were doing, and because it just canceled their action. So, oh my goodness. I had to micromanage these 3 Sims to get all these cakes baked, and I hope I don't ever have to do it again. I am wanting to build a few wedding venues for this pack for when weddings are fixed, and I want to do a beach wedding, a barn country kind of wedding, and like a church wedding. I think those would be good for my save file. But if there's anything else that you would like to see me build for the world of Tartosa, please let me know. I love hearing your suggestions. I do have some ideas for things I want to build. I definitely want to build a Greek-inspired home with like that white plaster and the blue trim and everything. Oh, it's so pretty. I think I want to do that on the island. I think there's already kind of a Greek-inspired place on there, so I think I just want to do like my own version of that. And I think I want to build a hotel, like a fancy hotel, maybe to use as a wedding venue. I think that would be kind of cool. That one will definitely take a lot of work, so I might not do that for a little bit, because this one kind of wore me out a bit. So, but yeah, I have lots of ideas, and I would like to hear yours as well, because I'd like to hear what kind of things that you're expecting out of this world. So you know how I have right here, I have it kind of tiered, I have like this lower area and the area higher up. I was looking at a lot of these Italian towns, and even the town that's in the movie Luca, and a lot of them were like that. They're all built on the coast where there's like all these mountains. And so that's kind of the feeling that I was trying to give with this being on this higher rocky area. Terrain tools are harder to use in this game since everything is so flat. The lot is so flat, and everywhere right around the lot is so flat. But I was trying to give that impression, even though we have the flatness. I wish this 50 by 50 lot was right on the ocean. Oh man, I would have loved that. I would have put boats everywhere, because I wanted this place to definitely have a coastal feel. I especially went with that with the fish shop. Yeah, boats would have been all over the place. Well, guys, we are almost done with this video. I just want to thank you so much for watching, especially if you made it through the whole thing, because it was a long one. As always, this build will be uploaded to the gallery, so you can download it from there. But if you need my tray files, you can get those from my Patreon page, which I will have linked down below. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already. And I will talk to you all again next Saturday. Bye, everybody.